Move on to our next question. Gene Hess, you will start on this one. We do have a couple of candidates in this campaign who have raised the issue of climate change at the city level. So what role do you see the city playing in combating climate change, and what will you do to ensure that the impacts of climate change don't disproportionately impact our poorer communities?
I drive a car that is powered by the sun. I have been aware of climate change since the first Earth Day in 1970. And so I am very supportive of efforts by the city to do so. I believe it's written in the plan, and that I believe that everything that we do, all the buildings that we build, need to be climate friendly. I come from a campus at Kalamazoo College where we have LEED certified buildings. I believe that everything that we do in the city needs to be looked at from a green perspective and move that forward. And like Chris said, I think we need to reduce the cars on the road and the exhaust that comes from vehicles and, vehicular traffic. Let's see, and holding up recycling. I know recycling is a huge thing. It's a huge thing for me. And so I would hope that we can all continue to do that. Thank you.
Jacob Andrews, the city's role in combating climate change and on making sure it doesn't disproportionately impact poorer communities.
Well, it is already disproportionately affecting our low-income communities. So we are in a climate crisis. We're not facing climate change. It's happening now. We see it locally with the extreme weather. Every time it rains in the city, it floods all over the place. Our systems and our society is not ready for the changing of the climate and the changing of our weather. So there are plenty of plans that the city has made. In 2017, the city adopted a climate action plan. Within that, it lays out almost 50, maybe even higher than 50 actionable items that the city can do, whether it's talking about recycling, public transit, planting more trees, making our buildings more renewably friendly. All of those things are great. I stand and we need to make that a top priority. But we have not, since 2017, the city has not made the climate action plan a priority. As your commissioner, I dedicate to you that I will. It will be our top priority, and we will get adequate staff and funding to make sure we get that plan done.
Pete Kushner, the city's role in combating climate change and on making sure it doesn't disproportionately impact poorer communities.
Environmental responsibility is one of our 10 strategic goals that our community identified through the Imagine Kalamazoo process. I support the city's efforts to have a climate action plan. But we also, just as importantly, must track its progress. I think other areas that we as a city need to look at are increasing our use of renewables as well as protecting our natural resources. I can tell you as our neighborhood association president, through our efforts, we were the ones that started, that was the impetus for the Natural Features Protection Program, or for the Natural Features Protection Overlay. The Asylum Lake Reserve is part of our neighborhood, and it was through our efforts that we got that covered. The other thing that I would say that we're working on, simple things at a neighborhood level, we just ended up a 3-year process with Consumers Energy to work with them to come up with more effective, more responsible tree cutting practices to save. Thank you.
Patrice Goodman, same question on the city's role in combating climate change.
So we're already behind. Things have already been disproportionately leveled out. So we have to start out by being real about where we're at with this and having a very realistic approach about how we're going to move forward, because this is a huge worldly issue, right? But what we can do is affect what happens right here in the city of Kalamazoo. So we need the voices of the people who have been disproportionately impacted and deal with those effects. We can't move forward without dealing with what we've already let happen and expect us to move forward the right way. So, I don't have the plan, but what I can tell you is that words don't create action on themselves. It takes people to do that. And as commissioners, we can't just be the ones to talk about it. We have to be the ones to act. Or else we will look up in 2 years and those plans, those papers will still be sitting there. And that's what I've done as a commissioner. That's what I want to continue to do as a commissioner, is take written plans and move them into action.
Thank you. Emily Demarest, same question for you.
Yeah, I love this question too. So the city absolutely needs to move with some urgency on this, and they absolutely need to take a lead. We cannot wait for private companies to take this issue, can't wait for nonprofits to take it on. We only have the capacity to deal with issues on this level through our government. Of course, these impacts are already hurting low-income communities first. They have been for a long time. I think two kind of concrete things we can do is that one is that we need a water tax in Kalamazoo. If you are a user of water for large industry, or you are concerned with beautifying your lawn, right? The time for that is over. Water is a precious resource. It will only become more high value. If we have a water tax, we can use that revenue to put plans into place to modernize infrastructure and weatherize homes in low-income communities.
Chris Cradle, same question on climate change.
It's another fun one. So we have something in the city of Kalamazoo that nobody else has, and that we're not fully tapping and utilizing into. And whether you love it or hate it, we have this thing called the Foundation of Excellence, with this $10 million of aspirational funding every year that we, the citizens, get to choose what we want to tackle. And almost every issue we've talked about here tonight, from the mosquitoes to maybe when we get to talking maybe about affordable housing or something, we can find ways to be leaders in green technology. We can be leaders as a community in the city to tackle this as an issue and make it a priority, and we have the resources to do so. The thing I think that we can do as a community is we need to, number one, make this a higher priority as a city. It's not as high as it should be, and I think that everything that we're going to talk about tonight, from affordable housing to transportation, we can challenge this community and entrepreneurs to think about ways that we can be the best. When people Google Kalamazoo, they see that we do it better than anybody else, and we can be that leader because we have the resources to devote, tackle those sort of things to create a greener future for the next generation.
Benjamin Stanley, same question regarding climate change and the disproportionate impact on poorer communities.
Mix up the microphones here. So Western Sustainability Office used to have this cool program with black soldier flies, where they were taking the waste food from one of the cafeterias here, and they stopped doing the program because the flies like warmer climates a lot more than they do here, and the costs and everything towards making that on that scale is difficult. But I think doing it citywide would be a little bit more practical. I think that would help provide a source of protein for different sorts of, we have a lot of farms around here. I think that would be one small step that would help a little bit. I like the idea of getting more cars off the roads. It would make it more environmentally friendly as well as a safer city. And also beautifying, working with some of the gardeners and planters that we have around.